In the past day, the world has said farewell to 5 remarkable souls, individuals whose lives were painted in art, sound, laughter, and truth. From the silver screen to the concert stage, from the rugby field to the studio, and the heart of the dance floor, each of them carried a unique light that touched countless others. Their stories remind us to live boldly, to create fearlessly, and to connect deeply, because life's beauty is found in the moments we share and the memories we leave behind. If these stories touch your heart, let it be a reminder to cherish your own, and don't forget to leave a like, a small sign of gratitude for lives that continue to inspire even in their silence. You don't find yourself all at once. You build yourself piece by piece through the choices you make and the love you give. Diane Keaton was born on January 5, 1946, in Los Angeles, California. Growing up in a creative family, she was deeply influenced by her mother, Diane Keaton, who kept detailed scrapbooks documenting family life and self-expression. Her father, John Newton Ignatius Hall, worked as a civil engineer, offering a steady presence that balanced the family's artistic energy. From an early age, Diane developed a fascination with performance, individuality, and the subtle ways in which people express emotion, interests that would later define her career. After graduating from Santa Ana High School, Keaton studied acting at the neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater in New York City. Her professional journey began on stage, where she joined the original Broadway cast of Hair in 1968. Her early performances reflected both talent and independence. She refused to conform to expectations, often challenging directors with her distinctive approach and natural humor. Her life took a decisive turn when she met filmmaker Woody Allen, with whom she formed one of the most notable creative partnerships in American cinema. She appeared in several of his films, including Play It Again, Sam, Sleeper, and Love and Death. Their collaboration reached its peak with Annie Hall, a film that earned Keaton the Academy Award for Best Actress. The character's blend of vulnerability, intelligence, and individuality mirrored Keaton's real-life personality, and her iconic style, loose ties, vests, and wide-brimmed hats, became a cultural phenomenon. Beyond her comedic roles, Keaton displayed remarkable range in dramatic performances. She portrayed Kay Adams in the Godfather trilogy, capturing the evolution of a character torn between love and moral conflict. In Reds, she played journalist Louise Bryant, earning critical acclaim for her emotional depth and conviction. Over the following decades, she continued to impress audiences with films like Marvin's Room, Something's Gotta Give, and The Family Stone, seamlessly blending humor and vulnerability in ways few could match. Keaton's influence extended far beyond acting. She was an accomplished photographer, author, and advocate for architectural preservation. Her passion for design led her to restore historic homes across California, emphasizing the importance of maintaining cultural and aesthetic heritage. She also published several books, including her memoir, Then Again, which offered a candid reflection on her family, aging, and self-discovery. Throughout her life, Keaton became known for her distinctive fashion sense and strong sense of independence. She often described her style as armor, a personal form of self-expression that defied Hollywood norms. Her commitment to authenticity inspired generations of women to embrace their individuality without apology. Colleagues and friends often described Keaton as a warm, curious, and deeply intelligent person with a quick wit and a love for conversation. Despite her fame, she maintained a sense of humility and an appreciation for life's simple joys: photography, old architecture, and time spent with family and friends. When Diane Keaton passed away, tributes poured in from across the entertainment industry and beyond. Fellow actors, directors, and fans remembered her not only as a performer, but as an artist who changed perceptions of femininity, humor, and aging in Hollywood. She was celebrated for her courage to be herself, unfiltered, creative, and endlessly curious. Diane Keaton's legacy is defined by versatility, honesty, and the ability to find beauty in imperfection. Her performances continue to resonate with audiences for their emotional truth and humanity. She reminded the world that authenticity is timeless, and that the greatest role any person can play is their own. Music is the thread that ties us to our memories. Every song is a chapter of who we are and who we've loved. John Charles Lodge was born on July 20, 1943, in Birmingham, England. Growing up in post-war Britain, he was surrounded by a world rebuilding itself, a time of change, creativity, and new beginnings. From an early age, Lodge showed an interest in music, learning guitar and writing songs while attending school in Erdington. His love for melody and harmony would one day make him one of the defining voices of British rock. As a teenager, he joined local bands and experimented with rhythm and blues, jazz, and early rock influences. Music, for Lodge, was not only a form of entertainment but a form of expression, a way to connect emotion and intellect. to capture both joy and reflection in sound. His early inspirations included artists like Buddy Holly and Elvis Presley, whose blend of sincerity and energy left a lasting mark on him. In 1966, his life changed when he joined the Moody Blues, a band that would go on to shape the sound of progressive rock for generations. With fellow members Justin Hayward, Graham Edge, Ray Thomas, and Mike Pinder, Lodge helped craft a musical identity that was both poetic and innovative. His role as bassist, vocalist, and songwriter became central to the group's creative force. Lodge contributed to many of the band's most celebrated works. His compositions such as Ride My Seesaw, Eyes of a Child, and I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band blended lyrical insight with vibrant musicality. He co-wrote and performed on Days of Future Past, 1967, an album that revolutionized the fusion of rock and orchestral sound, marking a turning point in modern music. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, the Moody Blues continued to evolve, producing albums like A Question of Balance, Seventh Sojourn, and Long Distance Voyager. Lodge's songwriting often explored themes of time, faith, and self-discovery, reflecting his thoughtful, introspective nature. His music carried both grandeur and tenderness, inviting listeners to think and feel deeply. Beyond performance, John Lodge was known for his humility and warmth. Colleagues often described him as grounded and kind, a man who approached both his art and his audience with sincerity. His faith and family played a central role in his life. He often spoke about gratitude, resilience, and the importance of cherishing every moment. Fans remember his live performances for their emotional honesty. Even after decades on stage, he performed with the same energy and passion as in his youth. For Lodge, every concert was a conversation, a shared experience between artist and audience. In his later years, he continued to tour, record, and collaborate with fellow musicians. He also took time to mentor younger artists and remained a proud ambassador of British music, representing not only the Moody Blues legacy, but the values of dedication and artistic integrity. When John Lodge passed away, the world of music paused to honor him. Tributes poured in from fans, musicians, and critics across generations. Justin Hayward, his longtime bandmate and friend, described him as a man of grace, melody, and unwavering faith in the power of song. Music historians called him a bridge between eras, a musician who carried the heart of the 1960s into the modern age. In the days that followed, fans around the world shared stories, recordings, and memories of how his songs had touched their lives, moments of joy, reflection, and nostalgia carried by his voice and bass lines. John Lodge's legacy lies not only in the music he made, but in the harmony he brought to life itself. His art reminded people that sound can heal, lyrics can guide, and melody can endure long after the final note fades. True leadership isn't about standing in front, it's about walking beside others until they can walk on their own. Warren Abrahams was born in Cape Town, South Africa, in 1982. From a young age, he was drawn to sport, not only for the competition but for the sense of purpose and community it created. Rugby in particular spoke to him. It was more than a game, it was a test of will, intelligence, and heart. Growing up in a country where the sport carried both cultural pride and historical weight, Abraham saw in rugby a chance to connect people, to inspire, and to lead. He began playing in local clubs while still a teenager, quickly standing out for his speed, skill, and sharp tactical instincts. But even early in his playing career, it was clear that his true strength lay beyond the pitch, in the way he understood the game, and in his ability to bring out the best in others. Coaching came naturally to him. His approach was analytical yet deeply human, focused not only on performance, but on personal growth. After moving to the United Kingdom, Abrahams continued his journey as a player and coach, working with several clubs and national programs. He became known for his innovative methods, blending traditional rugby values with modern techniques drawn from sports psychology and player development. His coaching philosophy emphasized trust, communication, and creativity. "The game is played in the mind as much as on the field," he often said, encouraging players to think, adapt, and express themselves freely. In 2020, he was appointed head coach of the Wales women's rugby team, a historic moment that reflected his growing reputation as one of rugby's most promising modern thinkers. His leadership came during a challenging period for the sport globally, but he brought optimism, inclusivity, and vision to every training session. Players often spoke of his empathy, his ability to listen, to challenge with kindness, and to make each athlete feel seen and valued. Under his guidance, the team began to evolve not only in skill but in identity. Abrahams introduced new systems focused on empowerment, tactical awareness, and resilience. His methods drew attention across the rugby world, earning him respect as a forward-thinking coach who blended strategy with soul. Outside of coaching, Abrahams was deeply committed to education and community development. He worked on programs that used sport to support youth engagement, mental health, and leadership skills. For him, rugby was a tool for transformation, a way to teach life lessons through teamwork, discipline, and courage. Those who knew him personally describe a man of warmth and vision. He had a calm presence, a deep sense of curiosity, and an infectious belief in human potential. Whether mentoring a young player or addressing a national audience, he carried himself with integrity and humility. When Warren Abrahams passed away, tributes came from across the world of rugby. Former players, colleagues, and fans remembered him not only for his tactical brilliance, but for his kindness and authenticity. The Welsh Rugby Union honored his legacy, describing him as a coach who built people before building teams. Across South Africa and the United Kingdom, countless messages of gratitude reflected the impact he had on those he worked with, not just as an instructor, but as a mentor and friend. In his relatively short life, Warren Abrahams achieved what many aspire to. He changed the way others think, play, and believe. His influence continues through the athletes he shaped, the coaches he inspired, and the lives he touched beyond the game. Art should make you feel something, even if that something is just the reminder that you're alive. Tony Fitzpatrick was born in 1958 in Chicago, Illinois, a city whose heartbeat would become the pulse of his art. He grew up surrounded by working-class grit, Catholic iconography, and the raw poetry of everyday life. From a young age, Fitzpatrick found beauty not in perfection, but in imperfection. In the cracked sidewalks, in the faces of laborers, in the colors of the corner bars and train stations that defined the city he loved. He began his career as an illustrator, but his creative spirit quickly expanded beyond the page. Over the years, Fitzpatrick evolved into one of Chicago's most distinctive and beloved multidisciplinary artists. A collage maker, poet, printmaker, and storyteller whose work blended memory, myth, and Americana into something deeply personal, yet universal. His art, often rich with birds, saints, devils, and Chicago street signs, became a vivid reflection of both the sacred and the profane, the ordinary and the extraordinary. In the 1980s and 1990s, Fitzpatrick's collages gained national attention for their intricate layering of imagery and words. Each piece felt like a story, a fragment of a dream or a prayer, combining found materials, hand-drawn symbols, and snippets of poetry. His collections, including Max and Gabby's Alphabet and The Secret Birds, revealed his fascination with the natural world, spiritual symbolism, and the small moments that define human existence. Outside the studio, Fitzpatrick was known as a larger-than-life personality, fiercely loyal, deeply compassionate, and unafraid to speak his mind. He was a boxer in his youth, and that fighter's spirit never left him. Whether creating art, writing poetry, or acting in films, he carried himself with authenticity and purpose. He was a regular collaborator and friend to musicians like Steve Earle and authors like Nick Cave, finding in them kindred spirits who shared his love of storytelling and truth. Beyond his own success, Fitzpatrick devoted himself to nurturing others. He founded Firecat Projects, a gallery designed to give overlooked or emerging artists a place to shine without financial barriers. It was an extension of his belief that art should be democratic, that creativity belonged not only to museums but to neighborhoods, coffee shops, and street corners. His poetry, often raw and intimate, echoed the same themes that filled his visual work: the longing for meaning, the ache of memory, the fleeting beauty of the ordinary. Fitzpatrick's words captured the soul of Chicago, its contradictions and tenderness, its humor and heartbreak. When Tony Fitzpatrick passed away, tributes flowed from across the art world and far beyond. Friends, artists, and admirers celebrated him as a man who made art feel human, who turned his life into a story about resilience, kindness, and creativity without pretense. Chicago's artistic community mourned him not just as a local legend, but as a friend, a mentor, and a voice that told their story to the world. His legacy lives on in his vivid collages, in his books of poetry, and in the many artists he inspired to find magic in the overlooked and beauty in the broken. Tony Fitzpatrick's life reminds us that art is not just about creation, it's about connection. Through his work, he taught us that every object, every moment, and every soul has a story worth telling. And in doing so, he ensured that the city he loved, and the people who loved him back, will never be the same. If the music connects, even for a heartbeat, that's all that matters. That's where the magic lives. Matt Tolfrey was born in 1982 in the United Kingdom, and from the very beginning, music was in his blood. His earliest memories were not of silence, but of rhythm. The hum of late-night radio, the pulse of a bass line sneaking through a club wall, the energy of sound as language. Long before he became a name synonymous with the British underground scene, Tolfrey was a curious listener, a kid fascinated by the art of how sound could move people. As a teenager, he began experimenting with turntables and vinyl, crafting sets that blended house, techno, and electro with a deep sense of emotion and precision. By his early 20s, he had become a fixture in the UK club scene, not just as a DJ, but as a tastemaker. His performances were immersive experiences, shifting effortlessly from playful grooves to introspective rhythms. To Tolfrey, DJing was not about ego, it was about storytelling, a way of creating shared moments between strangers through sound. In 2005, he founded Left Room Records, a label that would come to define a generation of underground electronic artists. Through Left Room, he championed producers who were pushing boundaries, blending genres, and creating music with depth and integrity. His label became known for its raw, soulful releases, tracks that didn't just fill dance floors, but lingered in memory long after the night ended. Tolfrey's collaborations were as varied as his influences. He worked alongside artists like Laura Jones, Kate Simcoe, and Gavin Herlihy, each partnership reflecting his openness and curiosity. His productions carried a signature touch, warm, analog textures and deep, intricate grooves that spoke to both heart and body. His 2012 debut album, Word of Mouth, showcased that duality perfectly, introspective yet vibrant, crafted for both home listening and late-night movement. Yet beyond the decks and studios, Matt Tolfrey was admired for his humility, humor, and relentless dedication to community. Friends and collaborators often described him as someone who made everyone feel seen, a quiet force who believed in the power of togetherness. Whether in a crowded club or a studio session at 3 a.m. He mentored younger DJs, offering advice not just on technique, but on integrity and perseverance in an ever-changing industry. When Tolfrey passed away in 2025, the electronic music community was shaken. Tributes poured in from clubs, labels, and fans around the world, from London to Berlin, Ibiza to Chicago. Fellow DJs spoke of his boundless energy and authenticity, while those who knew him personally remembered a man who loved deeply, laughed easily, and always stayed true to his craft. Social media filled with clips of his sets, photos from small basement clubs, and heartfelt words from fans who said his music had soundtracked some of the most important moments of their lives. Matt Tolfrey's legacy is not just about records or sets. It's about connection. He understood that music could bring people together in ways words never could. Through every beat, every transition, every carefully chosen track, he built bridges between souls. In the end, his story is one of passion, community, and the beauty of living for what you love. The lights may dim, the crowd may quiet, but somewhere, a deep groove still echoes, carrying his spirit forward, one beat at a time. Today, we remembered the journeys of Diane Keaton, John Lodge, Warren Abrahams, Tony Fitzpatrick, and Matt Tolfrey, 5 people whose gifts transcended their professions and became part of our collective story. Each of them lived with purpose, curiosity, and courage. They made us laugh, think, dance, dream, and in doing so, reminded us that greatness lies not only in talent, but in authenticity. May we honor them not with sorrow, but with gratitude for the light they left and for the way they showed us how to live fully, love deeply, and never stop creating.